In this video, we are going to show you how to add an unmetered office to GHGi Analytics. Put simply, an unmetered office is one in which heat, light and power are included in the office rental and not billed separately. This means that the actual energy usage and the associated emissions are not available. Despite this, the emissions still need to be reported. In order to do this, a benchmark method is used. The emissions are calculated using the floor area of the office, the fuel type used for heating, and whether or not the office has air conditioning. Before setting up an unmetered office, please ensure that you have set up a site code and name for the office in question. You can see how to do this in the video Setting Up a Site Code and Name in GHGi Analytics. After logging in, you get to the central console. In the navigation bar, we select Setup, then select Add Unmetered Offices. We can set up multiple offices at a time from this page, but we are only going to set up one. If you have more than one office in the same office complex, we strongly recommend that you enter them as separate items. We select one from the drop-down and click the button Add Unmetered Offices. This brings up an unmetered office form. We click on the Common Site Name drop-down, which shows us all the currently available sites, and select the appropriate one. As I said previously, if the site you want is not listed, you need to set up a new site code and site name. We will select Walton House. Next, enter the precise location of the office. This could be something like first floor, basement, or annex off car park. I'm going to enter Floor 2, Office 5. Next, we enter the name of the company leasing the office space, the landlord. Those available to you will be displayed in the drop-down. If you need to add a new landlord, we show you how to do this in the video How to Add a New Supplier to GHGi Analytics. I'm going to select Regus from the drop-down. Next, you select the lease rental type. An ongoing lease is one where the contracted period is over 1 year. A temporary lease is one where the rental period is under 1 year. Now, you may ask what happens if the lease rental period of the office in question straddles more than one financial year. First, it is the total length of the lease rental period that matters, not the number of months in the financial year being reported. If the lease rental period is, or was, over 1 year, even if only 1 month appears in the financial year to be reported, you select Ongoing. And as that is the default setting, I'm going to leave it as Ongoing. Secondly, you must enter the actual start date of the contract if known, even if the start date is not in the period that you ever intend to report on. If you do not know the original start date because it was some considerable time in the past, but you know that its period was over 1 year, select Ongoing. In the case where you do not know the start date, you will have to decide on what we call a pseudo start date. What you decide will depend on your situation, particularly on how far back you wish to report your emissions. As an example, let's assume that your financial year matches the calendar year. The original lease started, say, 4 or 5 years ago in 2016 or 2017, but it is difficult to find out exactly when. Let's also assume that the earliest year that you will want to report on is 2019. We would recommend that for the start date, use the first day of the financial year prior to the earliest year that you wish to report on. In this example, you would use 1st of January 2018. Similarly, if you know the year and the month, but not the actual start day, choose any appropriate day. Once we have these dates, we add them to the supplier contract start and the supplier contract end date fields. I'm going to enter 1st August 2018 into the supplier contract start date field, then 1st August 2022 in the supplier contract end date field. We next enter the floor area in square meters. If your floor area is in square feet, multiply the number of square feet by 0.09290304. However, I would enter the results of the calculation to no more than 2 decimal places. But in most cases, I would round the figure up to the nearest whole number. I'm going to use a figure of 45 square meters, which is enough for a 5-person office, a room for the manager, and a good-sized meeting room. Next, we look at the services provided. It is unusual for the lease or rental charge not to include 3 things: power, heating, and water. So, leave these all selected as yes. If the office space has air conditioning, then you select yes. In a small number of cases, rented offices may not include heat or power in the rental charge. In that case, select no for the appropriate service. Then deal with whichever it is by adding an electricity meter, gas meter, or other fuel supply point in the normal manner. I'm going to leave the first 3 radio buttons in the default position, but select the Yes radio button includes air conditioning. Next, we have to select the heating fuel type. In this drop-down, you can select the following fuel types: electricity, gas, which is natural gas, gas oil, and LPG, liquid petroleum gas. You select whichever applies. I'm going to select gas. Next, we enter the site address, then the postcode. I'm going to enter 21 Salby Road, Loughborough, and the postcode LE110ZX. The calculation basis used is a benchmark comparison and is currently fixed. In future, we may add alternatives as the market develops or requirements change. We then click the Add Unmetered Offices button. This will take you to the Unmetered Office Details page. Here you can check the details that you have just entered. You can then select the Back to Unmetered Offices List button. This takes you to the list of unmetered offices that you occupy. By pressing the green Select button, you can edit the office details in case of a mistake, or to extend the contract term date, for example. That's all for this time. Thank you for watching this video.